I thought before I give you a tour of the shop that I would show you the barn where we keep all the extra wood. This is all some wood that I got back in West Virginia. A few years back when we lived there, the mill that was close to us burnt down, and to recoup their costs and to rebuild, they sold off all their stock at about 15 cents a board foot. So I grabbed as much of it as I could. And up here is poplar, and then I think this is some more poplar. And down on the bottom is black walnut. Over here we have white oak and with some cherry, and then another pile of black walnut behind all this overstock. To hold the stacks of lumber up, we use these angle brackets with a 2x4 going across the top. Each one can hold roughly 1,000 pounds, so I have 4 of them on there. That should be 4,000 pounds worth of weight, so hopefully they're not going to fall down anytime soon. This place is really getting overgrown, as you can see, with a bunch of junk, but I have cushions for doing upholstery, foam for making crates. Over here I have some of my forms for that's the Barst cafe chair, bent laminated back leg form. This is a back slat form right here, another back slat form. That's old, really old one, before I started making them differently. Let's see what else. This is a piece of driftwood that I found on the beach. I don't know if you can see the curl in it. Just a beautiful piece of wood, and it's spalted. And I've started to cut it up. This is the last big chunk I have that I haven't cut up. I'll show you some more of it back in the shop. So this is the wood barn. And I have some old pieces of furniture, like when I made the kitchen chairs, I made an extra one, and then I picked, you know, all the best ones, and I sent them off to the client, and I kept this one. And it doesn't have an upholstered seat, so I think that I'm going to make a maple seat that's carved to put on that. And then that is like a lounge chair that I made out of myrtle wood with red suede upholstery. I have one of my bar stools hiding back in here. A set of pirouette tables. Everybody thinks that this is like a Asian symbol, but it's actually it's aluminum ballet slippers that were inlaid to go with the aluminum stretchers on the back. There's some of my wife's tables. She is an awesome maker as well, so I'll have to get a picture of that and post it for you to see. And I have some sheet goods back there, and then some more lumber here, shorts. And this big baking rack that I got here was from a gentleman that died, and he was a gun stock maker. And this is all really good maple and English walnut. So I was really fortunate to get that. And so there's the barn. So I figured for this shop tour, I would do it by corners. I'd take you into each corner and show you all the different parts of my shop. I was waiting to do a shop tour until I had the shop completely cleaned out and, you know, beautiful like you'd see in the magazines and stuff. But that was just never going to happen. So I figured I might as well go ahead and do it now before, you know, I can't do it ever. So over here I have the drum sander. It's a 1938 Supermax. And it's hooked up to its own dust collection that is also hooked up to the big bandsaw. I'll show you that later. Then we have the cat feeding station, which is really important to have in a wood shop. And then I got the paint locker, which I go through it maybe once a year, yank everything out and organize it and put it back, and within a few weeks it is a mess again. So it is what it is. Then I have the joiner. It's an 8-inch Delta DJ20. I got that last year. I really like it. It does a good job. I bought a burn barrel for scraps to, I'll grab a camera over here. So I bought this burn barrel for throwing scraps in that I get off of the bandsaw. And both the bandsaw and the Supermax are hooked up to that with this dust collection that's just a Harbor Freight cheapy version. I've got some patterns up here that I use for different pieces of furniture and a few parts. My kids, they have time cards that they got to clock in and come out and help. I don't know if you can see this past the bandsaw blades, but there's a cool sign holder that has a bear on it. I'm hoping to make a nice sign that one of these days to hang outside. There's all the YouTube woodworker stickers that I have so far. And what else? There's an old recurve bow saw, or not bow saw. There's an old recurve bow back here that has a broken tip, and I wanted to make one, so I kept that as kind of a pattern. Here's another chunk of that spalted maple that I got off the beach last year. So I guess I have two chunks that aren't slabbed up yet. And then up here I have all my patterns for chair backs and arms and front legs and stuff. And then some old clamps that I had before I got all my new stuff. I like, I guess, I don't know, what would Nick, he'd call it tchotchkes or bric-a-brac or just knickknacks, crap, whatever. I wanted my shop to kind of have a Applebee's feel, something, you know, a fun atmosphere so that you enjoy being in it and you'd want to get out there every day. So here's the joiner. I have, it's a mechanic toolbox that just has some, it's like my junk drawer that has all the junk. Here I keep my crosscut sled up here hanging on the runners for the garage door. This garage door is kind of blocked off, can't be used. I keep a lot of styrofoam and packing material that I use for making my crates. It's slowly dwindling down and I'm keeping more of it out in the barn. Let's see, what else we got? We got, this is the first bandsaw that I had that I've changed it over, and it has a metal cutting blade. It's strictly for cutting metal now. And then shop vac, cyclone for collecting the dust off of the joiner. And then I got this jet two or 3 years ago. And it's hooked up to all my drum sanding stations, all that stuff. And here's all of my clamps. This is the clamp wall. Here, let's slow down here. We're getting ahead of ourselves. I'm going to move this over. So moving over to this corner, this is where I keep all the clamps. It has the chop saw station. It has my big disc and belt sander over here. And let's see what else we got. The table saw. Table saw is big uni with a cherry outfeed workbench on the back side of it. It has a router table insert over here, which is about the only router table that I use in the shop. I would love to have a dedicated router table, but you know, space is always limited in a wood shop. Up in the ceiling, I've got my dado stack crosscut sled, some prototypes from chairs that I've made. Some more fun signs. I got my air compressor hose coming right down over where I work most often. So that's a really handy thing to have. I love that. Some old saw blades that I've just painted for fun, and I got signs all over the place that I like. My favorite sign is the one that I got from, there was a movie rental DVD place that was going out of business. And I got the sign, and that thing is heavy, but it's fun. I'll plug it in and show you how that works here in a little bit. And let's see, what else? No. Right now I'm working on, this is the library chair. I'm going to do a video later on today about how I scoped some different parts down. I just got done putting the ebony plugs in where the screws go, and I'm really happy to get back into woodworking. I was doing saws for most of last year, and so I got to break out all these parts of furniture that I've been working on and I put away. So now I'm going to get back at it. And let's move on to the next corner. So over here I have the big bandsaw. It's the Grizzly Anniversary Edition with the bear on it that I really like. You know, you can see around here that I really love bears. My wife calls me Bear, and her name is Kitty, so hence BearKat. That's how we came up with the name. But we run our stock through here, and then the offcuts go in the burn barrel. And then there's the patterns that I have, and just a whole bunch of just unorganized stuff. There's a method to the madness, and usually I can find stuff. I built this little contraption up here, if you can see that. All right. So I built this contraption, knowing space is kind of a factor in Okay, so that really stunk. My I I gotta show this. Alright, so I tugged, I don't know if you can see this, but the camera fell over. I tugged on the lav mic too hard, and it actually broke the cord for the lav mic. It just ripped it right off. And that yanked, somehow it completely just shredded my tripod. So there's one for the blooper reel. Fun. So there you can see I have a curtain, and it goes all the way across, and I have a gray one as well, a dark gray one, for shooting like studio shots of furniture whenever I get them done. And when I'm not using it, they just pop right off of there, and then I can stow it up out of the way. It also works really good for when we're finishing our canes. I'll screw a hook into the bottom of the cane, and then I can pull it up out of the way, and they can dry up there while we're working on something else. There's projects up in there. There's a bunch of Dremel stuff, some caning that I have for seats, a whole bunch of dowels. I have a really cool nautiloid tabletop out of marble that I want to make a base for, a couple of routers, a whole bunch of fasteners, and then the sharpening station, router jigs, all kinds of junk in there. These are some cane tops that my wife is working on for their graduation canes. We get a few orders of those every year. That's a chair prototype that I was playing around with, and that's what I ended up using kind of for the look of the library bench and library chair. Then we'll move on into the art room, which is got everything in it from glass fusing, jewelry beading, carving, and these are some of the graduation canes that my wife is working on right now. And she also has a set of luggage that she's working on for a show next fall, and a bunch of books about woodworking, and there's that. So moving on from the clamp wall is right here, and then we're moving on to my mortiser, team spindle sander, a bunch of fancy blocks of wood. That's where we have some good stuff up there. Some chunk of olive. I have a whole bunch of my router stuff underneath of there, some table saw jigs, and this is a filer for filing the saw teeth that needs to get out of here. I really need a dedicated space for making the saws. I have a lot of fun doing them, but I'm really excited to get back to woodworking. So, moving on, we'll look over here. Whew, yikes. So moving on, we'll look over, and this is, okay, we'll go big sweep. We'll go. There's a clamp wall, and let's turn that sign on. That'll be fun. So here's the sign all lit up. I have a few of these mobile carts. This actually used to stand upright, and that's where, you know, the DVDs and videos would be on there. So I just repurposed it and put a shelf on top of it, and it works really good. And then I have another one that is still in the upright position, but I took most of the shelves off of it and I turned it into a clamp rack. Here's the sign, and that's the clamp wall with the mortiser, spindle sanders, jigs, fixtures, all kinds of stuff, goodies, some crosscut miter boxes, and I have this. I ordered this paper. It's like a newsprint paper. It's amazing. I use it all the time. I saw Jay Bates made like a thing under his assembly table, and it's really great to have all this stuff on wheels to be able to move it around. Okay, what next? You've all seen the workbench and the tool cabinet. We'll open up the tool cabinet so you can take a look at it. I've got videos on how I made the tool cabinet and the sawtill and the workbench. If you haven't seen those, go check them out. It's kind of a mess, but I got all my tools in there, and, you know, of course, the cat, that's her spot, so she'll grab at me whenever I try to move her, fight with me. She's a meanie. She doesn't like getting kicked out of her spot. And last year I bought my multi-router, which is the most expensive tool I've ever bought, but it's also the coolest tool. It does the most just amazing things. You can angle the bed, move it back and forth. It's got, you know, XYZ axis that can do all kinds of stuff. And it just takes pieces of wood and turns them into Lego pieces. Makes things, you know, all the joinery super easy. So, some more signs. I used to have a really good stereo setup, but the dust finally got to it and killed the speakers. And I would love to do a project where I make some speaker boxes in the future and get a new stereo setup. So I really like to listen to music while I'm working. So I'm kind of stuck with this old. The CD player doesn't work. The tape players don't work, but it gets NPR. So I listen to soft jazz all day. Horrible. And then we move on into the back room. This is where I have it's a light box kiln for drying out some, you know, stretchers and chairs and chair legs. I have the lathe, and all the tools are held up on a magnet right here, and all of the wood turning stuff, different jigs and fixtures, and some just odds and ends that I have up there. This is the wood that I have that I found on the beach last year. Spalted maple with a lot of curl in it. You can see it. Try and get a good angle. You can see it. But it's just absolutely beautiful. Put some mineral spirits on it, and it just, the grain in it is just unreal. So then I got this mobile cart from. Got this mobile cart from Harbor Freight, and I bought decals that say Radio Flyer on it. And it's got a whole bunch of furniture parts on the shelves, and then these are some sticks for the compass canes that we're working on. All the stuff that I just milled up from the beach. This is the wood supply here. There's English walnut, myrtle wood, black walnut, big wide board of padauk back there, some zebra wood, curly maple. So there's just odds and ends, and it gets polluted. And every so often I have to go through and kind of clean it out and get rid of a bunch of stuff. Okay, I have some more of the saw making tools. Over here I got a couple different setters and a tooth cutter. I'm going to hook a flywheel onto this one and take the motor off of this one so I can do it by hand. For just some things that I like to do by hand. And this one has a motor on it, and I'll keep that one hooked up, motorized. These are all the bars and ratchet bars that the saw plates get hooked onto. I have a whole bunch of old planes that I need to restore, put together. Here's my drill press. This is the only drill press I have in the shop, and we really want to get like a nice tall floor model, a good, you know, sturdy one. I've actually been kind of thinking about getting a milling machine. And then the air compressor is hooked up and runs on a hose, goes up along there, shoots across there, and that's how that air compressor is hooked up. And then there's a 220 heater, and that's not the only source of heat in the shop, but that's the one I use most often. When I am doing a lot of work, I'll cut up my chair parts and have a bunch of leftovers, and I'll burn stuff in the fireplace. Helps to keep it nice and dry in here. Let's see. So yeah, I got the heater. Oh, the air filters. I've got the air filters. There's 2 of them, but then I have another one up above that I'm going to hook up probably toward the front of the shop. And I have the pirate flag, and that is an old lamp, street lamp, that fell down. The garbage truck was outside one day, and he got hooked onto the power lines and pulled the whole pole down. And so I ran out there really fast and absconded with the the street lamp. That is the legacy woodworking mill that I bought, and that was one of my first purchases, one of my first big tools that I got. It is what I use to do the barley twist rope design in the furniture that I do. It can do all kinds of fun milling. It would probably be tool number 2 right behind my multi-router that I like the best. I got a big assembly table over here, and that is the Carve-Rite CNC machine. If I was going to make a commercial about a CNC machine or support a CNC machine, that would not be the one that I picked. I have a hate relationship with it. It has been nothing but a nightmare to use, and I'm hoping to get rid of it. So now we'll go up the stairs. We'll climb up into the attic. So this is where I keep a lot of stock that I want to have dry on hand. I'll store it up here. There's a lot of mahogany, some maple, kaya, hotoba, myrtle wood, some quilted maple, more walnut. There's some box elder. I have some figured Port Orford cedar that I got locally. This over here, I don't know if you can see it. This wood over here is from a sunken ship that was used as paneling in a restaurant that was local, and when they pulled it off the wall from the restaurant, they were going to throw it away, and I interceded and managed to keep it all. I made a couple projects with it. It's really fun. Really pretty stuff. And we'll get over here. Actually, this is looking out from above the art room where I keep all the lumber, and you can see the kind of space that I get to work in. It has been a lot of fun to work in here. I would love to have a much bigger shop, obviously. Oh, that's a steam box right there for steam bending, and there's some steam bending forms up over there. Lighting has been an issue, so I got a whole bunch of these big lights. That's another thing I didn't show you out in the barn. The local high school was remodeling, and they were getting rid of all of the can lighting that they had up in the ceiling, and they were going to throw it away. So I got a whole bunch of it for free. That worked out good. So thank you very much for going on a shop tour with me.
We cut 'em down, saw 'em up, stack 'em high and low in that truck. It's all